This one is actually from Best of Redditor Updates and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Falling Out of Love with My Wife After She Took a 7-Week Vacation? 7 weeks is a long time. Originally posted April 12th, 2024. I, 32 male, have been married to my wife, 30 female, for 4 years, and we've been together for 8. She is a stay-at-home mom. We have Irish twins, 1 female, 2 male, which was incredibly taxing for my wife. She wanted a solo vacation break for a few weeks where she could travel to different states, visit her high school and college friends, go to concerts, and do a lot of fun stuff. She asked if I would be okay with it. I asked if she could make it maybe a couple of weeks shorter because 7 weeks managing our 2 children alone sounded really daunting, especially since work was also getting taxing recently. I do work remote, so at least that worked in my favor. Hold up. This is a 1 and a 2-year-old, and she just up and asks if she can leave for 7 weeks so she can go see friends and go to concerts? And is okay with leaving her 1 and 2-year-old for 7 weeks? Ruh-roh, Raggy. Like, oh no, Scoob. Like, I don't like the sounds of this. My wife and I discussed it for a couple of days, and I ultimately agreed with her that she did deserve a break because of what she has been through the past few years, and she took her vacation. The first week managing our children alone was extremely difficult, and I did feel like I was losing my mind, but I survived. My sister came over to help me for the second week on and was honestly a lifesaver, and I will be eternally grateful to her. I never directly asked her to help me, but I guess I indirectly did, because when my sister called me at the end of the first week, I basically broke down in tears. So from the second week on, my sister stayed over at my house to help with my children, and a huge burden had been lifted off my shoulders. I also was really able to focus on work and meet my deadlines. To be brutally honest, I did not miss my wife at all. I was emotionally and mentally relaxed, and also had a lot of fun with my kids and my sister. I felt a sense of betrayal that my wife had actually gone through with the 7-week vacation. I slowly fell out of love with my wife. When my wife came back from her vacation, she was super refreshed and recharged, but to be honest, I was a bit indifferent. My wife tried to initiate sex the first night she came back, which I rejected because I said I wasn't feeling it. The subsequent days, I had the same level of indifference in our day-to-day life, and she probably noticed it but didn't say anything. A week later, she asked me why I was like this, and I told her I don't love her anymore. She apologized for taking this 7-week vacation and asked if there was anything she could do to fix it. I told her no. We pretty much went through the motions for the next couple of weeks before I finally decided that I wanted a divorce. She seemed devastated when I brought up the divorce, which surprised me because I already told her I don't love her anymore. She asked if we could do couples therapy or marriage counseling first before I started looking for a divorce lawyer, and I told her I needed some time to think about it. I spent a few days thinking about it, and I'm still leaning towards a divorce, but basically, I don't love my wife anymore, and I don't think marriage counseling can fix it. Am I the astronaut for falling out of love with my wife because she has a 7-week vacation? There's an update. Before we get into that update, let's talk about this for a second, right? It's important to keep in mind. I mean, he says, am I the astronaut for falling out of love? Like, yeah, that's clearly a feeling, and I don't know that that's a feeling that he can control. But he did agree to this. I don't think it's right that she went. I think it's a huge red flag that she went and was okay leaving her kids this whole amount of time. But he did agree to it, right? Now, he's not saying I hate you because you did that. He's saying I fell out of love with you. I don't love you anymore. I don't think you can control that. It sounds like a realization, not a falling out of love. Yeah, it could have been a long time coming. Could have been. And he just didn't miss her not being there. But he also had help during that time. So it's not like a glimpse of what real life would be without her. God, my concern right now is really for the kids, because you got a 1 and a 2-year-old that mom was okay leaving for 7 weeks. No issues about that at all. So I don't know. That's hugely concerning. The kids are 1 and 2. PPD can last a long, long time, right? So let's say even if she was suffering from that, bouncing for 7 weeks, being okay with that, that's a lot. And that's a lot to put on your partner. Now, he agreed. That's the caveat. He agreed. Okay, let's dive into the update here. Yeah, I mean, leaving kids for a couple of days is tough. 7 weeks? Shit. Update April 13th, 2024. I posted my original last night and went to sleep immediately after. I have deleted it for anonymity's sake, but it was preserved here. I woke up this morning, spent an hour reading the comments, and decided that I at least owe it to our children to try couples therapy before considering divorce. I told my wife on my decision, and she was really happy about it. But I also told her that I don't expect too much to come out of it, because I just didn't love my wife anymore, and wasn't sure if couples counseling could fix that. I want to clarify a couple of things. Money was not an issue. I'm lucky to be working in a high-paying, albeit stressful job. It really didn't bother me how much my wife spent on her trip. The main issue was that I was emotionally and mentally overwhelmed managing 2 kids while I was also working full-time, albeit remote. My wife was also specifically against daycare for personal reasons. By the end of the first week, I had lost my sanity and basically broke down in tears when my sister video called me. Understandable. My sister had enough time to come over and help me from the second week on, and she really wanted to because it gave her a purpose in life. She has no plans to be in the workforce, and she's pretty much set in life because of my father's money. I did ask my father to not leave any money behind for me and give everything to my sister because I was already in the workforce and had a good job. It's very generous of you, which for some reason seems sus to me, but okay. Relevant comments here. Comment. Did you or your kids have any contact with your wife during this 7-week vacation? Original OP, she called me 2 times during the entirety of her vacation. She doesn't love you either, man. What kind of... Okay. I think she decided she didn't love you a long time ago, Broseph. But she's a stay-at-home mom who just went on a 7-week escapade that you funded, and then came back and immediately tried to just have sex with you, but only called you 2 times. Which means if she also only called you 2 times during the entirety of her vacation, she talked to her kids a max of 2 times as well. There's no excuse for this. I don't care what's going on. There is no excuse for just abandoning your family and only calling twice in 7 weeks. No. That is just a lack of respect. That is, if you want to show your partner that you don't value their existence one bit, do this. So I'm sure he felt completely unloved, but it was pretty easy to fall out of love with someone who you're pretty damn sure doesn't give a shit if you're alive because they left you with 2 very young kids. Your kids, obviously. They left you with your 2 kids for 7 weeks and only called twice. That's all you need to know, man. That's all you need to know. Top comments. As a fellow young dad, 7 weeks is way too long, but in my opinion, we haven't been given enough info to judge this one. You are breaking down after a week alone with your kids. To me, it sounds like you may not be accustomed to caring for them. Perhaps the division of tasks in your household was not balanced properly. Asking to leave for 7 weeks shows deep resentment on its own. Agreed. There's no self-reflection in this post, and it bothers me a lot. I have a feeling you are the asshole, but we haven't been told the real story, of course. Comment number 2, my mom went on an 8-week vacation when we were kids. Decades later, we found out it was inpatient rehab for alcohol. Not even our dad knew where she actually went at the time. Interesting, because 7 weeks is a very specific amount of time, isn't it? 7 weeks, like from the get-go, having this plan for a 7-week vacation is very specific, is it not? OP doesn't even know that she was actually doing what she said that she was doing. And by that point, he didn't care. She was clearly indifferent about him if she had no qualms picking up and leaving for 7 weeks and only called twice. To be that upset when she gets back and realizes that he's now indifferent about her only says to me she's going to miss the lifestyle that she was able to have because of him. Now, the fact that she was able to do that to her kids is a much bigger red flag, and there's bigger issues going on there. Something is clearly wrong. I strongly doubt that she was actually doing what she said she was doing. It would explain the 2 phone calls. It would be great to know her side of this. That would be fantastic to know. No matter what the story is, no matter what problems they had, her ability to check out for 7 weeks and at max talk to the kids twice is alarming. To request to be away. I have doubts about everything here. And you know what? I am heavily and actively involved in with our kids and taking care of them. And still, after a week solid of not having your partner there at all, I'd probably be breaking down in tears too. without having any help. You don't realize how big of a deal just having a partner there so that you can use the bathroom when you need to, or you can take a shower when you need to, or you can get that 3 minutes of sanity where you can walk away for a minute. If you're the only one there 24/7, there is no escape. None. And until you form your own ways of dealing with it and find your own ways to stay sane, that first week of hazing, I'm sure, was really, really tough. And it got much easier when his sister showed up and helped. That doesn't mean that he wasn't actively involved in their upbringing before. It is way different being the only one there versus having even just someone show up for an hour. It's way different. But what if she was the only one there 24/7 and he doesn't do anything, Charlie Diego? I get it. And she was probably, if that was the case, let's follow that path for a second. If that was the case, she was probably losing her shit. Let's say that's the case. She's been the only caregiver 24/7. He's completely checked out, which is hard to believe. But let's assume that for a second. That still does not justify her bouncing for 7 weeks and only checking in twice to both her partner and her kids. It doesn't justify that. If that were the case, she wouldn't be able to go more than a day without calling in and talking to her kids at least. But yes, Real Life Works, he did agree to it. But the question is not like, am I the asshole for being mad about it? He just fell out of love with her. And it was, I agree with Sergeant Mack here, this was a realization. The process of falling out of love with her and becoming indifferent to her did not happen while she was gone. He realized that it had already happened, and probably realized that it had already happened to her well before she ever left. And not being able to communicate about this, Candy Thunder. Yeah, if they can't communicate, this is never going to work. They've got to be able to translate each other's feelings and be honest with each other. They probably need to have, they haven't talked about, he said that she was very refreshed and recharged when she came back. That's it. That's all. That's all you talked about. Okay. You seem refreshed, recharged. Yeah, it was great. I would think that there'd be some in-depth conversation about, whatever successful soul searching she did out there. What did she discover? What's her outlook on life now that she's back? Are there any big problems that aren't problems anymore? What did you find out? What did you find out about yourself? I have no doubt that, she wasn't, we don't know that she was rocking 24/7 of the child care. We don't know that she wasn't. Either way, it doesn't justify any of this. And he's talking about, am I an asshole for feeling indifferent to her now? No, man. I don't think either one of you care about each other, which is tough. It's really tough. Finding that out after you've got 2 kids. Yeah. That definitely sucks.